first symptoms. So the more awareness that we can raise by going out there and letting people know what OCD really is, the more people that we can help relieve suffering. So I want to thank all y'all. You've been amazing.
Hi guys, and welcome to Shalom Aleichem. So today I wanted to talk about my experience at this year's 1 Million for OCD walk. Last month I made a video about the walk and where I was going to be walking, and if you haven't checked it out, please go check it out because I tell a story about why we walk and why the IOCDF started this walk. And last year, after I made my video about this walk, I also made a recap video, which I can link to those in the description or at the end screen. But as for now, let me tell you guys about this year's walk, 2016. So last year I walked in Boston with my friends from the OCD program I went to. This year I have moved down south and I'm closer to Atlanta, so I walked in the Atlanta walk. However, Atlanta is actually 3 hours away from where I live. So in order to go to the walk and not wake up at 4 a.m. on a Saturday, my dad and I decided that we would go and stay overnight in Atlanta on Friday, and then we'd go to the walk on Saturday and go home after that. Anyway, the next day we woke up bright and early at 7 a.m. and we drove to the place where the walk was being held, which is, I believe it's called Chaplain Park, and it was a beautiful park. To be honest, I preferred Jamaica Pond last year at the Boston walk. I just thought it was so pretty with the lake, but the park in Atlanta was very beautiful too. And this park was huge. They had tennis courts, they had a golf course, they had a horse range or whatever you'd call it, and it was crazy big, and I was just like, this is amazing. And it was really beautiful too, being like next to the golf course and stuff. However, I do have some qualms with it, which is that first of all, Atlanta was super hot. At 9 a.m. when we started the walk, it was like 95 degrees in Atlanta, between 90 and 95 degrees. And on top of that, the roads that we were walking on were very hilly. So we were like walking up and down hills in this humid 95-degree weather. It was so hot. Afterwards, my face was so incredibly red, like it wasn't even funny. These marks appeared on my face afterwards, and I was really concerned about it. I think it had something to do with the heat. I have no idea though. I'm not a doctor. They're gone now, so I don't really care. That's just my own medical problems. Let's go on with the walk. Despite all of these inconveniences, the walk was amazing. Like 10 out of 10, would do again. It was wonderful. This is why. So when my dad and I first got there, we first got our shirts, which look like this. And I think they're so cute, and they're my favorite color. They say 1 million for OCD, and they have the link, and they have the hashtag, and they have a foot. Why did my voice crack there? And the shirt is incredibly comfortable. Let me just say that. I wore it the day after the walk too because my family was having a party. I'm just like, I'm gonna show this off. But at the walk, after we got on our t-shirts, my dad and I, of course, took a selfie and sent it to all of our friends who knew that we were going to the walk, who were supporting us. And thank you to you guys who did support us financially on our campaign for the walk. Thank you so much. We went over 200% over our goal. That is amazing. Thank you to everyone who contributed to our campaign and supported us during the walk, and all of you who supported us with your thoughts and prayers, and all of you who shared my page, and all of you who shared my videos. I am so thankful for that. I'm so glad we got to raise even a little bit for this wonderful, amazing cause. After me and my dad got our shirts on and we took the appropriate amount of selfies, my dad and I just kind of were waiting around because we had no friends there. We didn't know anyone in Atlanta. It wasn't like last year in Boston where all of my friends from the OCD program were there. So this year we were just kind of waiting around, and we thought about taking pictures because they had a photo booth that was really pretty, like the way they set it up. I was kind of like debating it because I don't know, when I get into social situations like that, I get really shy, especially at first. When I'm not talking to anyone, I'm kind of just like standing there awkwardly because I do have social anxiety, and although I portray myself as very outgoing on the internet, and this is how I really am inside, believe me, in real life I'm really shy and really quiet. So me and my dad just kind of hung by ourselves, and while we were waiting around, a Mastiff came into the parking lot with an owner. I love Mastiffs. I love big dogs, so my dad asked if we could pet him, and I was a little bit embarrassed, but then I was like, okay, it's a dog, so I'll have to let it slide for my dad. And after a little while, people started coming up to me and thanking me for my video and saying that they watch my videos and that they really are amazed at how I can be so open and honest even though I'm so young. And I just wanted to thank everyone who came up and said those nice things to me because that was so nice of you, and it made me feel so blessed and so thankful that I do this now. And double the people came up to me this year than who did last year. Last year only 2 people came up to me that I didn't know, and this year 4 people came up to me. So it's slow progress, but I'm getting there. I thought it was super cool how even more people came up to me and knew me this year, and I just felt that made me feel so appreciated, and I thank you guys for that. But one person that came up to me was actually a fellow OCD blogger, and she came up to me and she started talking to me about my blog and said that she liked it, and I kind of recognized her and I was like, I think you have an OCD blog, but I can't remember the name of it. Then she said the name of her blog and I was like, yes, I love your blog. She is actually really an amazing blogger. She writes about Christianity and OCD and scrupulosity, and even if you're not a Christian, believe me, you'll get something from her posts about OCD. Her blog is called ajourneywithocd.wordpress.com, so go check her out. The link will also be in the description. And by the way, we actually share a name. Her name is Caitlin and my name is also Caitlin, although we spell it differently and I go by Kat. But still, that's pretty cool. There are a lot of Caitlins, but it was still pretty cool. Then we started doing things together as a group, such as the group photo. The first photo we did was a normal picture, and then the second one, they were like, make a silly face. So what do I think of when I think of silly faces? My face immediately goes to, my mind and my face immediately goes to, you should stick your tongue out. So I stuck my tongue out, and I'm really scared to see that picture. If it's up by now, I'll probably put it on this video, but... And then they had the announcements and they talked about OCD and they talked about this year's Grand Marshal, which was Dr. Janicki. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. And he was very funny and a very nice guy, and I actually chatted with him after the walk, which I'll talk about later. But he does a lot of stuff at Harvard for OCD research and OCD treatment, I should say. And he gave an amazing message about recovering from OCD and how everyone can recover. It's a hard road, but you can get through it. And I didn't catch all of that on video, but I do have some of it, and I think I probably put that in the beginning of this video. Anyway, after he cut the, call it a rope, a string, I don't know. Anyway, after Dr. Janicki cut the string or the rope, what would it be called? Ribbon, it's a ribbon, right? Anyway, he cut the thing and then we were off and we were walking through the hills of Atlanta, Chaplain Park, and it was wonderful. And since my OCD blogger friend was there and she didn't really have anyone to walk with and I didn't really have anyone to walk with, besides my dad, and she had her husband, but besides them, we didn't really have anyone to walk with. So we decided that we would walk together. So we walked and we talked, and we actually have a lot in common. We didn't even really get too much into our own OCD symptoms. There were some points where we realized that we do have a lot of like symptoms in common, but we had a really good time talking about ERP, and she's been in therapy for about the same amount of time I have, I think, and I was amazed at how far she's come, and her story is so inspirational. After the walk, we made it back to the parking lot we had started in, and the whole time my dad and I were kind of joking that Dr. Janicki might know my former psychiatrist, and when I first heard that Dr. Janicki was coming in, my psychiatrist and him kind of had some stuff in common, I was actually really anxious about going. If you guys remember last year, I think I talked a little bit about how I was anxious to go to that walk because my psychiatrist was going to be there. That was a good exposure for me. But just like last year, as soon as I got there, I felt fine. Like as soon as I was talking to my friends, it was okay and I wasn't that anxious. However, the whole time my dad and I were kind of joking, like we should ask Dr. Janicki if he knows my former psychiatrist. I begrudgingly decided that I would go up to him, and as a joke, kind of, but kind of not, because I was honestly curious, I would ask him if he knew my former psychiatrist. And so my dad and I went up and my dad introduced me to him as a famous video blogger. Thank you, Dad, for embarrassing me again. Then I was like, no, I'm not famous, definitely not as famous as you. And then we talked a little bit, and he's a really nice guy. Like seriously, he was super funny and not anxiety provoking at all. And it turns out he doesn't know my former psychiatrist. That made me feel better too. But I told him a little bit about my story, and he asked me about the OCD program I went to. And then at the end, when he was about to leave, he asked me for my card. He was like, can I look at your blog? And I was like, yeah, of course. I was like kind of amazed. I was really surprised, but he did give us his email in the beginning announcements, and he said that if we had any questions about OCD that we could contact him, so that was really sweet of him. But then I did give him my card and I gave him the link to my written blog because that's actually not on my business card. But as I was doing that, someone came up to me and was like, hey, can I have your card too? And I was like, yeah, sure. But it turns out she was a therapist and she was Israeli, and I thought that was really cool. And she saw that my blog's name is Shalom Aleichem, and she was like, wow, Shalom Aleichem. And I was like, yeah. And she said that she thought when she first saw me that I was probably Jewish because I wear my scarf like this, a tekel. I told her that, well, we're actually Christians, but I kind of lean towards Messianic Jewish, which is what I normally tell people who ask about my headscarf or about my faith. And I thought that was really cool. And I told her I wanted to become a therapist, and she was very encouraging and said that she thinks that, I don't remember exactly what she said, but she said that therapists can be really great therapists if they have experience with mental illness, so she was very encouraging. But she does therapy in Georgia, and I don't remember the exact name of where she does it, but I know it's on the back of my shirt, so I'll check that later, and I will put that in the description or on top of this video. But everyone was so sweet, and honestly, the reason I drove 3 hours to Atlanta to do this was because it's such an amazing experience to be in a community like this. Online, but especially in person. Because you're seeing people who just understand. They understand you to at least to a point. They understand your story and where you're coming from. And there is nothing like it, honestly. With mental illness, you can be so isolated, especially with a disease like OCD that is so misunderstood. And many people are still living in silence about their OCD. A lot of people don't even know they have OCD. And people coming together, whether it's a walk or a conference or an OCD video contest, it's bringing more people to the proper treatment. And even among people with OCD, proper treatment can be so hard to attain, whether it's financially or because they don't live near someone who does it, or because just in their mind they are having trouble accepting what ERP is asking them to do, and they don't feel ready to conquer their fears the way ERP dictates. However, the more we raise awareness, not only of OCD, but also of the treatment of OCD, the more people are going to come and see this. They're gonna see it's a real disorder, and they're gonna see that it can be helped. You don't have to suffer with OCD. You don't have to suffer forever. You can manage it. And just being in this community and being able to see people in person talking about these things, it's really mind-blowing, because it's these people who I've read their blogs, I've seen them online, I've seen their videos, and then I see them in real life, and they're real people who are really dedicated to this cause. Honestly, being a part of the OCD community, not only the OCD community in your area, but like the OCD advocacy community, is such an amazing thing, and it's something that I think everyone with OCD should look into. Whether it's a support group or it's an IOCDF affiliate in your area, they can be a huge assistance to you, not only in your specific treatment, but also just an overall understanding of OCD. One thing that has massively helped my OCD recovery and my zeal for treatment has been learning about OCD. Not compulsively, I might add, but researching about OCD and ERP and how it works makes me so excited about this treatment. And even though it's hard, and even right now I'm having a really hard time with my OCD lately, and ERP is not coming easily to me, I know that it's worth it because I know how it works. I love how scientific it is. I love how it's proven to work. And this is something that people need more awareness of. People don't have to suffer in silence anymore. OCD is known as the secret illness, but it doesn't have to be. The more we talk about OCD, online, but especially in person, the more people are going to be attracted to this. And honestly, seeing this community in person is worth the 3-hour drive for me. It's worth going to a hotel, and it's worth walking in 90-degree weather, because I love these people so much, and I love helping other people who have OCD, and I love letting other people know that there is a way out. We can get help. Just gotta fly into the darkness. And yes, that sounds scary, and yes, it is scary, but through the darkness we can find the light. And that's the last cliche thing I'm going to be saying, except for one more thing, that going to the OCD walk this year has made me even more excited that I'm going to be going to the OCD conference in Chicago for the first time ever. And I experienced Atlanta for the first time ever, and I'm going to experience Chicago for the first time ever this summer. And that's amazing. And I'm excited to start this chapter in my life, I suppose, of traveling and doing these fun things with an amazing community and amazing friends who understand me and I understand them. And even though I might be overwhelmed by the city, I might be freaked out by going to these places where there are going to be doctors and scary things, I know that I have people supporting me and they're behind me 100%. So thank you guys for watching. If you haven't done anything in your OCD community yet, I'd strongly encourage you to look something up. I'm sure, I can't say I'm sure, I know there's a lot of places that have an extreme lack of stuff for OCD out there, but there may be something by you, and I'd encourage you to go to the IOCDF website, iocdf.org. They have a directory on there where you can find stuff like OCD support groups, and you can find your OCD, your IOCDF, so many acronyms. You can find your IOCDF affiliate near you. So yeah, thank you guys for watching this video. I want to give just a big virtual hug to you guys. That's what I'm gonna give you. This big virtual hug. There we go. Oh, I messed up the camera. But just thank you guys for supporting me throughout this whole past year that I've been doing vlogs, since the last OCD walk and since 2014 when I started my vlogs. It's been a huge blessing. I'm gonna stop rambling now, and I'm gonna stop because I might start crying. So thank you guys for watching. I will see you next time on Shalom Aleichem. Bye!